Texas governor blames El Paso shooting on not letting kids pray in our schools. For fuck's sakes, are you serious? Are you fucking serious? Are you serious? You're just trying to look ridiculous. Appearing on Fox and Friends, Texas Governor Dan Patrick got plenty of attention for blaming video games, even though the shooter made it clear he was following through Donald Trump's anti-Hispanic rhetoric. Okay, the summary is bullshit as well. Okay, so both the governor is being stupid. Again, I don't like Trump. I hate Trump, but the shooter specifically said that, okay, that these are the things that he believed in even before Trump, okay? So, again, Trump is responsible for a lot of shit out there, but can we please not blame every fucking thing on Trump? Again, I don't like Trump. Trump, as I mentioned earlier in the earlier story, he's a war criminal. He actively sold weapons to Saudi Arabia, knowing that he's being used against children. So I don't have any love for the man. But we need to be... This guy was against immigrants, was using the same rhetoric before Trump was even president. So for this summary to say that he was following through on Trump's anti-Hispanic rhetoric is unfair, and it's just desperately trying to blame everything that happens to Trump. Okay, I don't think that's fair. Okay, let me know what you think. But again, the governor is an idiot. I mean, I don't know how many. We have so many responses to this. I don't know if we should repeat that. Well, then what about the church? Like the most go-to example that people go to, like we have church shootings, right? The church shootings. Do they not pray in churches anymore? If praying is supposed to protect schools, how come churches get shootings as well? But let me see what the top.
Okay. Yeah. Except that, Hemant also mentions in the article a great thing, like even if it's not a Christian school, they never ban students from praying. I mean, if the students want to, they can pray anytime in the school.
Yeah, actually, that's a very good point. Nobody's stopping kids from praying. You just can't have the school having prayers.
Yeah, so what the agenda is, like the forcing Christianity, just because the school is forcing Christianity on students, it's doomed.
Right, yeah, actually you're right. I totally missed that part because it's saying not letting kids pray in schools. Who's stopping? Nobody's stopping kids from praying in schools. Does this governor think like if a kid is walking in the school and starts praying, is the school just gonna crack that out like, no, you cannot pray here? No, nobody's doing that. What the fuck? Like, it's just saying like the school is not gonna force prayer on kids. These people, god damn it, that's so stupid. It's so stupid. So actually, the Michael is saying it's the same thing. Actually, in the comment section, he's saying it was never about letting kids pray in school. It was always about forcing kids to pray in public schools. Yeah, so we stopped forcing kids to pray. We didn't stop kids from praying. Kids can still pray. They're just not being forced to pray anymore. Michael is continues and saying, I graduated high school in the 90s. None of the public schools forced praying upon us. The only school prayer was involved was a private Catholic school I attended for a short time. There was no prayer in public schools back then. Why should we move backwards as a culture and force it upon students now? Exactly. But I do want to bring attention to regarding these shootings. I have a tweet here from Neil deGrasse Tyson, which got a shit ton of attention. Let me go widescreen for people to be able to see it in full. So the tweet says, this is a tweet by Neil deGrasse Tyson. How many days ago? It was on August 4th. So he said, in the past 48 hours, so the number of people, by the way, that died in El Paso was 24, but if you add that with the Ohio one, it's 34. So in 48 hours, 34 people died from mass shooting. So Neil says, in the past 48 hours, the USA horrifically lost 34 people to mass shootings. But then he continues, on average across any 48 hours, we also lose 500 to medical errors, 300 to the flu, 250 to suicide, 200 to car accidents, 40 to homicide via handgun. And then he says, often our emotions respond more to spectacle than to data. Did I read that? Yeah. So, Shabam, what do you... I have a response to this. What do you think about this?
Okay, I can see where he's coming from. Like, there are so many deaths, other kinds of deaths because of human errors and all, and we aren't talking about those because the what's being present to us is the shooting, and we are just talking about what we see and not the exact data. So I can see where it's coming from, but I mean, it's still necessary to point this out. I mean,
No, but that's not
we
his point. His point is like, yeah,
yeah,
point it out. But why is it that we're reacting to the 34 people that died
yeah.
way more than
So
the
what
500?
what do you think about it? I
I have a
mean,
response
what's your
to
criticism?
I have a response to this, but let me just respond to the first top comment. The top comment is pointing out that the US has a lot more mass shooting than any other country, right? Like in 2019, it has a lot more, but that doesn't negate what Neil is saying, because even if United States has a lot more mass shooting than other countries, what Neil is saying, yeah, but we still have a lot more deaths from other things than mass shooting, right? So a lot of people think, like, I mean, a lot of people got really angry with Neil on this, right? It's like um, you're saying like, oh, you figure so these 34 people died are do they so it's not important, but that's not what Neil is saying, because if that's your response, then you kind of are saying that the 500 people that died from medical errors matter less or more. Well, obviously 500 people dying matters more than 34 people dying. But my response to this would be, the fact is that, yeah, 500 people are dying from medical errors every 48 hours, but people are actively trying to stop that, right? Like, people, I understand that it's not interesting news-wise, but the medical society is like, you know, there's a lot of effort being taken into reducing that number, right? I'm going to skip the flu because I'm going to get back to the flu. But then the suicide, 250 suicide every 48 hours. Holy shit, that's fucking a lot of suicides. But again, a lot of people are trying to actively try to figure out how to end suicide, right? Car accidents, I mean, car companies, there's so many tests, millions of dollars goes into figuring out how to make cars safer. Homicide, handgun. Okay, this I'll get to the handgun as well, but the problem with the people that are dying with shootings is that it seems like people are actively trying to, at least in U.S. politics, avoid fixing the problem. Like, the problem is that there's not any, I mean, regulations on guns. I mean, it seems like you need a license. You go through more tests to be able to drive a car than in the United States than to be able to carry a gun, which is fucking insane, right? And every time you try to fix this problem, people are actively trying to block it. Nobody's trying to actively block efforts to fix medical errors, right? Nobody's trying to actively block, like, people are trying to reduce number of suicides. Nobody's active, no politicians are not actively trying to block you from fixing suicide attempts, right? The only example here that might be, that is, you know, comparable to the gun situation is the flu one, right? Because people are saying vaccines are bad and stuff. So there are people that are actively bringing back flu and measles and shit like that. So the flu one is comparable because we do have some people that are actively trying to block efforts to remove this disease. The one the last one, the one that it says the 40 homicide via handgun. The thing is that even more people die from, you know, gun-related incident, you know, stuff outside of mass shootings than during mass shootings, right? But it's interesting that the mass shooting gets the more attention, right? So more people are dying from guns in the United States. You know, well, when it's not even a mass shooting, like numbers is astronomically higher. But the mass shooting grabs the most attention. But the thing is that, doesn't make logical sense. But at least the attention that gets could maybe introduce laws that will also help with gun crimes that is not happening during a mass shooting, right? So at least it will cover that. But anyways, I don't think it's fair. I mean, Neil is making a point. I think the amount of anger that I'm criticizing it because I don't think they're the same. But I do think it's a good thing to think about and think, why do we react to these things more? I think he did get a lot of angry reactions that are not fair. You know, a lot of people are like saying, here's one that got 5,700 likes. Undeniable proof that knowledge and wisdom do not always coexist. Well, no, actually, your comment shows that because you didn't even respond to what he's saying. Like, at least give a logical response to this person why you disagree with them. Even if he's wrong, it's a good mind exercise to think about why do we care about these 34 people? Why are we reacting to these 34 people more than these other deaths? Even if he's wrong, it's not a bad thing to think about, right? So I think the way he's been criticized about this tweet is unfair. Yeah. Christie is pointing out that 90% of the population wants universal background checks, but TikTok, nada. Congress is bought and paid for and not by the actual citizens that they are supposed to represent. Yeah, and actually what Christie is saying, it has been academically verified. What gets passed as a law in the United States is more. It could be predicted more based on lobbying influence and the money that is being spent on politics than actual demand for it, which is really questions how democratic United States really is, right? Which is very sad. Good point, Christy. Did you want to add anything to that? What do you think about my explanation on that?
I think your explanation is good. I mean, people are not really actively trying to, spread the flu and everything.
Well, the flu one.
The flu one is okay because of I got confused because we don't have that many anti-vaxxers here.
In India?
Compared to the U.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I rarely see anti-vaxxers. Actually, I haven't met any anti-vaxxer ever.
I just met my first anti-vaxxers in person just like 3 days ago, and I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
Yeah, anyways.
Okay. Here the situation is like, it's good for your child, so do it.
Atheists are under attack in many places. If they were Christians, their voices would be heard. If they were Jews, their voices would be heard. If they were Muslims, their voices would be heard. But they are atheists, and not many seem to be listening. Let's make it difficult for them to ignore us. We have built a global community, and now we are tearing down geographic, cultural, and language barriers so we can find each other and support each other. In the last decade, we have built the largest atheist community in the world. Now we're doing the same in other languages. With your help, we have started Atheist Republic in Persian and Arabic.
انضميت مؤخرا لأسرة Atheist Republic وحيصير عندي بودكاست باللغة العربية.
As we grow, we can dedicate more time, staff, and resources to start doing the same in Spanish, Portuguese, Malay, Bengali, Urdu, Hindi, and other languages. We are providing community, support, informative content, and amplifying the voices of those who need protection, especially in countries where people feel isolated simply for their lack of belief. We want to be there for them, and we are only getting started. Help us get there. Check in the description for ways you can support our projects.